So Amit, admittedly, your PhD students are successful. And besides your training philosophy and your lab environment, I guess you also choose good PhD students. So tell us how you choose a PhD student. Do you actually read unsolicited emails from students who send emails to you saying they want to come work in your lab? When you look at their CVs, what do you look for? What are some of the things that impress you in a CV, and what are the things that put you off and are red flags in a CV?
So over the period of time, my recruiting has changed. In fact, one of my most upvoted answer on Quora is on how do you select your research students.
Mhm.
Um, my First of all, we all recognize that PhD is a marathon; it's not a sprint. So you need really a staying power.
Mhm.
The most important aspect of success of my PhD student is the student himself or herself, followed by the advisor and other things that he has read. But the pedigree that he gets from my lab is well known, my institute is well known, and a lot of people know our work, so they would pay attention to my student. They need to have high ambition,
Mhm.
and they need to demonstrate they can run a marathon. They have staying power, they are perseverance, they're persistent.
Mhm.
Now what I do, and I've had many students who have come from mediocre universities. So you look at my competition at a top 20 program. Their student is here, my student is here. But what I have to make sure is that my student is, at the graduation, above his competition.
Mhm.
So I know that a lot of things that will change because of our environment, because of the how we train them, how do we support them. But they need to be very ambitious, because that I cannot give easily. I can't change that very easily. They need to have staying power. They understand that this is, like there'll be rejections and those kind of stuff. So nowadays, almost all my recruitment, or last 10 years, all my recruitment has been that student reaches out to me. I see potential. I ask them to work with me online.
Mhm.
And that could be, so I have a lot of students who have done online internship. Several of them have done their bachelor's and master's thesis under my supervision, but in their country. So, and they work in that process with not just me, but my PhD student. So there is a months of 6 months and longer time of them interacting with me. A lot of students in that context will drop out. They
Mhm.
will say, because they would have come to me for funding and just getting accepted, but they're not willing to put the work necessary to prove that they can do it,
Mhm.
right? So they would want to do work with AI Institute and then write on their CV that that's what they have done, and hope that I'll write a letter, and then they'll go to wherever they want to go. These kind of people will fall out, and then very few will remain. And then based on that, I will some of them I will invite them here. So one thing I'm able to do, and I'm lucky that I can do that, is that I have funds, that a good uh, promising student can come here in person before I admit them to the PhD program.
Oh, wow.
And most of the students who have come here, currently I think I have four or five, maybe about five students who come here for on site, and it's very soon after here when they physically see all the things, and they want to apply for PhD and continue with us.
Mhm.
And if they want to go somewhere else, that's not a problem. Do
Mhm.
what is best for you. Nothing problem. I mean, I know lack of students coming and such. So if they think that they can rather go to MIT, so be it. Nothing wrong with it. Uh,
Mhm.
but so what I'm saying is that there are a lot of video calls. They're actually working on project. Most of the time, they do co-authoring of the papers. and really understand what they are signing up for before I want them to be part of this team.
Mm-hmm.
They need to, not just I need to know them, but they need to know what they are getting into and
Mm-hmm.
commit to it. So that is how I've been very lucky to get the students who may not be from the top university. So they may not be, let's say, from IIT in India. They may be from Triple IT in India or BIS Pilani in India. They are very good universities, but not the top. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
because what Malcolm Gladwell said, right? Top student, even at a little lower kind of rank university, can be more motivated, more self-assured, willing to work for high results. I have
Mm-hmm.
to prepare. I have a very long document. I'll share with you on the Gurukul. It's something like 6, 7, 8 page document that talks about the philosophy, all the questions that you ask. It is
Right.
answers to that, and it explains the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Of what are the expectations, this and that, and they need to know what they are getting into, and that they're going to graduate based on the outcome and readiness that they've demonstrated. They are independent researchers now, and not based on some thing. I have colleagues who would say, get a PhD student, have them publish 3 papers, and out you go.
Right.
I want each of my students to be ready to be very successful.
Mm-hmm.
And because of my unique, sort of background, it can be academia, and I'm very happy if they go to academia because now I can become academic grandfather,
Right.
and I have, which I don't get with others. They can be in industry, or they may want to do startup. And now, I mean, I see that in the recent years, a lot of my students have ended up going to doing startups.
Mm-hmm.
Not meaning they go all across these 3 things, but I think the percentage of my students who are now leading companies is fairly good,
Mm-hmm.
fairly high. And I rather see them do their own company than to work for somebody else in industry, especially in applied work. If they're doing core research and publishing and or doing innovation, doesn't have to be publishing. That makes me proud also. But
Mm-hmm.
going to a corporate job, doing what your boss and management wants, that they did not need to do PhD with me for that. They could have gotten a master's and done those kind of stuff. Why waste your time and my time?
Right. I love how you answered these questions because you actually changed the question into this different mindset that it's not that you admit the student needs to also understand what they're getting into. They also need to understand the dynamics and they also commit and choose you. So this mindset that the supervisor chooses the student and they go with
Yeah,
that, you're changing that dynamic here.
yeah, they need to buy into the Gurukul philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a transactional relationship with my student. I have a deep research, academic, and personal relationship. Personal is optional. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, it's not everybody has to send me their, child's photograph. I don't care. They do, I'm happy, but because they want to do it, that's fine. The other part of your question was, do I read unsolicited email? That is my weakness. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But in most cases, my answer would be um, uh, looks good, or I said, look, typically you need to demonstrate that you can do research before somebody, not just me but other faculty will consider you. And then I send them a link for prospective students. So there I have a lot of important consideration how they can succeed in their process to get the right advisor and program for themselves and what they need to have and how to write their first email to the faculty, because many of them do some template saying, I've done this courses, I have this one paper in some third grade place, and I'm interested in your work, and they cite one keywords or phrase from my work and then say, I want to work with you.
Right.
So clearly, and that email with small changes they would have sent to a lot of different people. No, they need to understand that this is a song and dance you can play with only a few people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good to apply to 50 plays and hope something will happen. if you are if you are willing to invest your time for PhD and your advisor's time. The other important thing I have to make people understand is that for every PhD that I graduate, I would have to get $300,000 or so of research funds.
Right.
In the US, yeah, they can, in some universities, they can do TA-ship and do that, but that's not going to lead to a quality outcome. They have to be research assistant. A research assistant will cost you from 50,000 and upward per year. So 6 years is 300,000.
Yeah.
So, and that's my responsibility. One of the reason, we cannot just grow like that for all the good students that come our way is because you have to take over the responsibility for really earning. You're a small business and you have to get a contract of $300,000 per student you hire. It's your
That's
responsibility.
right.
And all the times and hours that you're going to spend with them, not taking the vacation, not taking the weekend off.
True. That's true. Yes. Excellent answer.